Action. Cheers again. We are on to the physical environment aspect of the psychological safety portion of the psychological foundations of fitness coaching. I just said a lot. Okay. This one's going to be brief. All right. So we're going to walk through a few of the things that you can do to take care of the physical environment so people just don't perceive things as being amiss, potentially threatening, all of that stuff. A lot of this is going to seem obvious. Here's the deal. Go back and look through your space. Think about what you can do to make sure that everything aligns with what we're just about to talk about. And listen, if you're a commercial gym trainer and you're not necessarily totally responsible for everything in your space, this is even more important for you because you have to go and control the things that you can control about how you lead through someone through your environment, what they can expect, where you'll be, all of those kind of things. If you can do that, you'll be even more successful and people will feel more psychologically safe in your presence, more apt to spend time around you because you're a really good guide through a kind of complicated environment, and that's a good thing. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things. The first thing is to keep your physical environment ordered, okay? Let's write that up. We're going to use red. Ordered. Numero uno. So keep things in a place and as orderly as possible. A disorganized space gets reflected in the mind. It makes us more anxious, right? It really does. That's why they say to organize your space, because if everything's disorganized, your mind becomes disorganized, you feel more anxious subconsciously, and it's reflected in how you behave in the environment. That's why it's important to make your bed, man. That's why your mom wanted you to make your bed. You need that order in your environment so you can relax in that space. You don't have to try to figure out where everything should be. Put things in a place, keep them in a place, keep things clean more than you think that you need to, because it is reflected in how people perceive you and then how they order their own consciousness within your space. Important shit to do, okay? Make sure that it is understandable. What do I mean by that? Is there a flow? Right? Is there a flow to your space? Do people understand where they should go? What the process of moving through the space is? Does it make sense? Is it easily understood? And do you communicate it? Is it communicated verbally, non-verbally? Reinforce all of those things. So do people know to come in, their programs here, they warm up here, they do this part of their workout here, they do this. Having that understandable, sensible flow to it makes it easier for people to move through the space. They don't have to try to figure things out as much. Everything just kind of makes sense, coincides, and then they can move through it without too much threat, okay? Now listen, when I say threat, I'm not saying like this is some big, terrifying, horrible thing it's just people are scared shitless all the time. I'm just saying those little things that are amiss that don't allow people to optimize the experience they have with your gym. That's what we mean by that. So they can just optimally relax in a psychological way, not necessarily a physical way, so they can do the heavy physical work. That's really what we're saying with this. I just felt like I should come back and touch on that. Okay. Is it consistent and ritual based? Haha, this is important. Consistent, ritual based. Essentially, do the same things happen every day? Okay? How am I going to illustrate this? I'm just going to walk you through what happens at BSP Nova. When our clients come in, they come through the door to their left. Of course they come through the door. Of course they fucking come through the door. They come through the door. To their left, there's a windowsill. On that windowsill are programs. Their program is going to be laid out there for them. They know to grab that program. Then, every day, they will walk down. They will do the same warm-up. They will be interacted with relatively in a similar way, same conversations. They'll do the same things over and over again. There is a ritual to everything we do. They do their workout in the sequences that it always happens in. Then they take their program and they either put it in the daily folder or they put it in the completed folder. At the end of a program, they have a conversation with a coach. At the end of a block, they will schedule a conversation schedule time to have a bigger conversation with the coach about what they're doing going forward. Everything is consistent and ritualistic. We'll be in the same places at the same times, doing the same things in relatively the same ways, and it limits the unknowns in the environment, so people can go and search their own unknowns, right? That is super important. Consistent, ritual based. Make sure it happens the same way all the time, okay? Then from there, we want to kill as many, oh no, I dropped my paper. Kill as many tigers as we can up front. You guys know I love this term. My microphone's still good, there we go. Kill as many tigers as possible up front. So what does that mean? Before people get to your space, eliminate as many threats as you can, okay? Where do they go? Make sure they know. Make sure it's super clear as possible, okay? Who will be there if they're coming in? If, let's say you're a facility owner, if they're coming in the afternoon, who will they interact with? In the morning, who will they interact with? Who will they be? What will they look like? What are their names? If you're a commercial gym person and they're coming to your gym, who's going to be at the front desk? Or where do they go at the front desk? Where will you be? What's going to happen? Okay? What happens? Lay it all out up front so people feel competent, there's that word again, walking into an environment so they feel as though they can navigate it. All of this leads to competently navigating an environment. And we're going to talk more about competence when we get to the self-determination part of all of these discussions. But this is important. Ordered. Keep it clean. Make it look excellent, right? It gets reflected in people's perceptions of themselves, of the environment, of you. It's all very nice if it's ordered. Make sure there's an understandable flow to it. Consistent and ritual based. Do the same things all the time. It sounds boring. Trust me, it's important. Kill as many tigers as possible. Do it up front. Make sure people know where they're going. Make sure they know who's going to be there. Make sure they know what they're supposed to do so they feel as though they can navigate an environment. Cool? You know, let me tell you a quick story about the understandable and the ritual based. So we got new dumbbells at the end of last year. The space looked completely different. When we changed it, it threw people for a loop for a while. Some people didn't even notice because it was kind of similar. But some people were like, it completely threw off their perception of the space, and they had to figure out how to navigate again, and it really bothered them. And it bothered them to the point that they actually talked to us about it, right? So that change in space messed with them. Now, think if we did stuff like that all the time, like we were constantly shifting plates around, benches were constantly over here, we constantly decided that we wanted to change the way that BSP Nova looked. We do it very small over time, so the changes aren't big and super effective, but if we did, it would really mess with people. Now think about that in terms of your environment. How can you make it as ordered, understandable, consistent and ritual based, and take as many tigers away as you can up front, right? So if you can do these things well, you'll create a physical environment that promotes psychological safety.